I just have to ask about, like, obviously over the last few months, your personal life kind of was put out there
It
due to
was.
dating Matt and whatever like that. How did all this kind of come out, and what was your reaction like? Were you surprised that it was such big news? I guess because the WWE is huge and everything, but just did that kind of take you all back, all that stuff?
Yeah, it really did. I I never anticipated that it would be what it was. And it just like how huge the stories were, and just like it wasn't even like how big the stories were. They were big, but it was just like how consuming it was, like in our lives. And speaking strictly for myself too, that it just consumed my life for months. And it was nothing but toxic and negative and just lies and like slander and, threats and harassment. And it was like relentless.
Yeah,
And, uh, and then it would escalate. And then it's like, it wouldn't get a reaction. And then it would transform into something else. And it would just like keep coming up and like be regurgitated. And then they'd rewrite it. And then it would get everybody all riled up again. And I was just like shocked to watch it. I'm like, what is going on? And people don't understand too. Like this is our life. I mean, being just
yeah,
thrown across like every single headline and being dragged around the internet. And luckily, I've always been thick skinned for the most part. Like I was bullied as a kid, so I had to develop thick skin early on in my life. And especially being in this industry, like there's not a lot that
sure.
phases me. Like you kind of develop this tough exterior with stuff. But like, you know, it's hard not to be upset by something, especially that's so invasive. And like I've never experienced that level of like harassment that was so like one constant and just like able to get into your life so deeply. Because they were able to like get numbers and you know addresses and things that it just like it reached a limit where it was just so vile and so toxic. And then also trying to like it impacted my career. um People and adult had opinions about it, about then therefore had opinions about me. Part of the reason why I'm not with XBW is because of this situation. It's like it's a lot. So my life dramatically changed. But in my mind, is like people that are so angry and so hurt, and they're inflicting this pain and their hatred onto other people. The only thing that I can do is just be myself and know that like I'm happy. We're happy. We have nothing but love in our lives, and that's what we choose to focus on. At some point we had no choice but to focus on things that are in your face and undeniable. And we still do, but it's how you approach everything else too. It's like how you choose to handle it. Like I could go out and get into a mudslinging contest with everyone. I choose not to. You know,
Yeah.
it's toxic. It was awful. It is awful. So
I think some of the disappointing things about it is like what we alluded to earlier as well. And it was just like referring to you, porn star girlfriend, and all that stuff, just to kind of get the ball rolling with clickbait and stuff like that, I think.
right. Well, and that's like it was really like it was horrible timing, like inconvenient timing too. That I came into the picture, and then there's a simultaneous story about alleged drug use, and then putting
Yeah,
the two together, and then no one knows like our history. It's none of their business. So like, and I'm not going to put it out just to prove a point to internet wrestling fans, or
sure.
anyone. So it's like you're just sitting there. I'm just quietly watching this just like unfold, and it's just a difficult thing to deal with. But I hope for now we're past it for the most part. I imagine like it's old news now, but I mean people are interested in everything that we do because as soon as I, excuse me, post a picture, you know, of us together or something, and then the internet goes crazy and they write a bunch of articles, and it's just an interesting experience.
Yeah.
So fine with me. Like, I don't care that people are interested in it. I just, like, there's boundaries, respect our private life. Like, to some degree, I mean, we are both public figures. So that's something that we're both used to. Just on the scale, it's definitely increased a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So, but we're happy.
And a lot.
Everything's like good, and we're moving on from the situations, and everything is good. So hopefully, the next few months, like, it's going to determine a lot. So we'll see what happens.
And obviously for the fans, Matt is all good in a good place, and we
Yeah,
hope to see him on television soon.
he's so good. Like, and that's what's interesting too, because everybody, the internet is a wild place, as you know what I mean.
If it's on the internet, it's got to be true.
Exactly. And that's the thing too. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, and then some say like one thing, and then a bunch of other people will like see that, and then they'll start saying it, and this like weird avalanche effect. And I mean, like, the internet, I read stuff about myself, and I'm like, this is just like, how do people even think that this is true? And they do. It's crazy. Like, the stuff that people eat up is wild to me.
Yeah.
So but it is what it is, and that's something that I've had to get used to, is like changing my mindset with, like, because I want to go and immediately like correct them. But that's
Yeah.
also like, why? It's unnecessary. It robs me of my positive energy, and
Yeah.
it's trolling and toxic, environments, and it's giving them what they want. So I don't engage with anyone. I just, as difficult as it is. But Matt's great.
Yeah.
He's wonderful.
Yeah.
He's happy, great, and happy. So it's good.
Excellent. But the more famous you get, the more shit you're gonna get in any walk of life, especially with the way the internet is.
100%. And that just kind of seems to be how it is. Like, the bigger, it's kind of a double-edged sword. The bigger you get, the more shit comes with it. And I think, that it's kind of one of the prices to pay too, for being in that public eye. But as long as you're able to not allow it to, affect your personal relationships, which is also difficult to do, being under that much scrutiny and stress and judgment, and the viciousness and the constant stalking and harassment and all these other elements. Like, it's difficult to have healthy relationships with anyone.
Yeah.
My got family members that disowned me years ago for doing porn, calling me and being like, "Oh, we saw that you were dating so and so," and
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, it's just, it's such an interesting world. But when you're in it, it's hard to explain unless you've like been in it. But we're all human beings. Like, we literally are all this. We're just like everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
and the more people that you meet too that are of some kind of a celebrity status, like, the more you realize that, like, we're all just human beings. Like, and we're all entitled to like have, as much as you think we're not entitled to privacy, like, we are entitled to have some privacy, and to be happy and healthy and have private lives, especially for our children's sake. And that's the biggest
Sure.
thing too. The kids, people don't realize too, like, by slandering us all the time, like, you're really not just hurting us, you're hurting our
Family.
children too. And that's the most important thing to me. That's when I get crazy, is when people
Mhm.
start going after the kids. It's like, it's just so inappropriate and horrible. But
Yeah.
we try to just leave it alone, and, like, they're not, no one's going to rain on our parade, so to speak. Like,
Exactly.
we're responsible for our own happiness and our health and success in the world. And so that's why we just kind of keep our heads up and mind our business and carry on. And if people enjoy it, they enjoy it. If they don't, they don't.